Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy CLT here. We are casting a massive Group B game here between Small Brain, No Mechanics, and Backdoor Bandits. As both teams are 3-1, and this game will decide who is the number one seed out of Group B. So, big, massive matchup. And we will get started here in just a second. I will say for those joining us, we do have a total of 3 series tonight overall. We got one of my boys, War Initiate, is over on his own Twitch channel, casting the series between Scorch and Tom Kench Gamers. And Pugsley will be on the Midwest Twitch doing the third series here in about 8 o'clock. So, big series overall happening tonight. A lot of playoff seeding going on here. But we're getting right into the draft here as Small Brains takes away the Rek'Sai, which is a massive pick for the jungler Backdoor Bandits, SCYX. And Backdoor ends up getting rid of the Maokai. Maokai, kind of a three-way flex pick, though we haven't seen it too often. This split overall, still very good jungler, very good support, and we've even seen it a little bit in top lane. I don't think this new season patch has been absolutely great for Maokai, but still just a very solid tank up in the top lane. And then you see the Melio getting banned out, so no enchanters. That Small Brain wants to see their Melio being probably, in my opinion, like one of the best ones here. And Backdoor ends up taking the Victor away. Victor being the most played, the best win rate, just on all the one of the most powerful mid lane mages in the game. Zenma being a really proficient mid laner. They wanted to get that away from him, and then we see the Vi ban coming out. Vi, kind of a flex pick for Backdoor. We've seen SCYX play it, and we've seen Emperorish to no success play it here in the mid lane. He did play it one time, wasn't the greatest matchup, but still feel it. So Backdoor ends up getting rid of Vix Cassante here, and Small Brain ends up taking the Skarner first pick. Skarner, outside of Victor, the highest played jungler, biggest presence in the league so far, and I think, yeah, most wins out of any jungler so far. Rurika Hui mid incoming? Potentially. Hui mid, probably that next mage in line as far as top tier mid laners with Victor off the table. Though I think has probably Hui's got the best matchup, I think, in the Victor, all in all, for a clean slate. Like, he matches wave clear, he trades just as good early, but has the added range as well, so. We see a misfortune coming up. We've seen the Backdoor Bandits ADC have a lot of success overall in this misfortune. And then Rurika, my dude, you called that. There's a Hui mid. Let's see what Zenma wants to play. We know Zenma is a very big advocate for Azir. It's an absolute nightmare to see on that champion. So let's just see Tristana coming out. We've seen a touch of Tristana mid come out still in the split, but for the most part, we see a bot lane. And I think that's actually where the matchup for this is going to be really pressured on, is the bot lanes. We know Herwick for small brains and Backdoor's jungler, SCYX are absolute insane junglers. So I think whichever jungler is going to make a trip bot lane and get their bot lane ahead to snowball might be a pretty big key to victory here. But we'll see. Played that matchup against him. Yeah, yeah. Wouldn't surprise me. See Nico coming out. Nico is not a mid that we see that often. We have seen Nico support come out a little bit, so still a chance that Nico could go support. It's not something I would associate with Fidstick, as he's a very aggressive engage type of support, but he prefers some of the melee engages. But I mean, Fid could easily bust out this Nico. So, and then they rounded off with a Nami. We see Backdoors get rid of the Aurora. We know Zenma and Vic can both play the Aurora. Small brains. Looks like they're targeting the jungle here from Backdoor Bandits. So getting rid of the Jarvan, getting rid of the Vi, the Rek'Sai, even Maokai's off the table. Not sure what other junglers could come. Amumu getting banned is kind of a shot at Fidsticks. He does play the Amumu support, plays it really well. And the Ornn coming away from Backdoor, so targeting Arusep in the top lane here. So, interesting draft so far here. Let's see what Backdoor Bandits has to answer. We could see either a jungle or a top lane pick here. I assume it's going to be jungle. You want to save R5 for top lane. And we see the Viego come out. That's not a jungler we see too often here in the league, but still a really solid one overall. Let's see what Small Brains wants to end up picking here. I mean, this will kind of show Blitzcrank, so that could in fact be a Nico mid. And the Blitzcrank has some value here. He's got some very spicy targets that he can pick overall. No, even if there's a super tank coming out for the top lane, that's still 4 out of 5 targets. Though I don't think Blitz has the range to really threaten Hui. So I think Blitz is definitely more targeting the Misfortune Nami Viego. But I do like the Blitz silencing a lot of what Viego wants to do when he comes in and stuns. Blitz can just press R and Viego's just kind of there. He doesn't proc Q, he doesn't proc ult. And then we see Vic's patented Scion. I've seen Vic play Scion quite a bit, and he goes absolutely insane on this champion. And I actually think Scion is like one of the more forgotten champions in League overall. And then we see Backdoor ends up responding with a Mordekaiser here. So Scion versus Mordekaiser. Mordekaiser can definitely bully it out just a little bit. Scion's still going to get tanky enough. And that's triple AP within the comp, if I'm counting Nami here, but double AP on the top side outside of Viego. So Scion can definitely itemize some MR quite easily here. And I don't think Hui can use the new Bloodletter's Curse AP Black Cleaver item quite easily. But he's not gonna buy that until 3rd, 4th item after at least Leandry's plus all chapter item. So there's a chance that the Scion can get pretty tanky pretty quickly here. Uh, yeah, I'd be curious to see. Zenma on this Nico, I think, is going to be quite interesting as well. This Nico Hui matchup. I don't really see that. Like Nico can go poke for poke with Hui, but he sets up a lot of combos pretty easily and pushes the wave in. I think a lot better than Nico, at least early game. But Hui can't really check Fog of War easily. Actually, I would argue none of the Backdoor Bandits comp can really check Fog of War. I mean, Mordekaiser's going to want to try and split against the Scion a little bit. So, all in all, I really like the small brain mechanics draft. They have two big, huge super tanks. You have some damage dealers that scale quite well. I mean, Tristana does have a little bit of a drop off in the mid game, but her 6 item late game is still pretty good. And yeah, we'll see. I think this Blitzcrank's a wild card. Has anybody played against Blitzcrank knows that just this random hook can come out and just ruin your day quite easily. So, GeoProw, see you in the chat. What's up, man?
Who dares defy my will?
How's everybody enjoying the new season patch? I haven't seen all of the games this week, but of the majority that I've seen, I think I've seen one team with the feats lose. Yeah, I think just one that I know of, and that was Freebrax Game 2. Stole the Rift Herald and got the feats, but still unfortunately lost the game here. Now that I'm thinking about it more, like the feats, the first blood specifically, I think has a very high chance of happening for small brains. That they have such an early game, like bot lane, like Tristana Blitzcrank. Like all it's gonna take is a Blitzcrank hook off an invade, and it's gonna be a pretty simple like first mark on the feats with first blood here. So for those in the chat, what draft do we prefer here? I personally think it's small brains. came out with a little bit of an edge here in the draft. Especially the two tanks that they picked are absolute like super tanks. Hui's not gonna have a great time trying to carve through them. Viego came with Blade of the Rune King, but I think it's going to be really hard for them to do meaningful damage through this front line here. You like Backdoor's draft way better? Interesting. Kind of curious on why on that one. I think Backdoor outscales. I mean, I don't disagree with that part. Like Nico, Tristan, Blitz definitely want to get leads to maintain usefulness and have a much better curve. But I also think if they don't get a lead, the amount of scaling and beef stats coming out of Skarner Scion can stabilize the game quite heavily. Because I don't think Misfortune ever gets off like a really good ult. She has a lot of things that can stop her. I don't think Emberish on this way gets through a like double MR Scion until he gets to like third item Bloodletters. I mean, I'd probably say the biggest thing is this Mordekaiser. If this Mordekaiser pops off and really starts to push the Scion around, then that can be something that they lean on quite heavily. See if Fid hits this Q here. Oh, he does! But there's no one there. But there's a flash out by Emperish. Oh. Big flash, actually. Brought Airy on Hui. I think Comet's a little bit better, knowing that you're going to continuously proc it on QEs on the tanks. Like, you're going to be able to get out multiple Comets. Zoom out here. And how does the stream look? I did adjust the gameplay scene a little bit, so hopefully it doesn't cut off the names on the far right side. And I left the setting on to have the name tags above the champions. Hopefully that's a little bit better. So if there's anybody in the chat, just kind of confirm if it ended up working. When I tested it, it looked pretty good, but looks better on the right edge. Much love, GeoProw. Thank you. I found it easier that to have this in windowed mode. Decent trade coming out here by Zenma. see, I'm curious if oh, big hook coming out from Zenma or from Fitsticks here. But we see Nevis ends up trading back. So, big action here in the bot lane, and Backdoor's ends up getting the better trade out of this. But really, really nice flash snare coming out of Zenma to then set up Hairwick for this gank and pick up first blood, as that is one part of the feats of strength here. But we see the bot lane going after Nami here, but Mono ended up having to jump back out, and we see MF with a little help from Nami there fight back. So they ended up picking the fight, and the bot lane of Small Brains burns 2 summoners there. We see Vic getting pushed around here by this Mordekaiser. Nice Q flash here by Aruseps. So, talked about this this Mordekaiser potentially being a really big linchpin for the Small Brains team comp. But this Mordekaiser gets going, and he can cut through these tanks. It's going to be real hard. I see the double longsword coming out of Vic. Is this an AD Scion? I feel like that's not optimal when you're double AP solo lanes here. Interesting. Be curious to see where this ends up going. Wait, listen. I see you, Geo, bro. I think there's some valid points there. There's obviously a really good quality conversation there. I always respect the conversation. I just don't see anybody standing in front of the Scion ult. But if Mordekaiser continues to build this lead up, Scion has to meet him in the side lane, so it's going to be quite interesting. I think ultimately, like, feats of strength is really going to play a big part here, because you gave one of the 2 already over to Small Brains, and it looks like they're already starting the neutral objective, the epic monster stacking here with this first dragon, and that's a Hextech Drake, which I think that Hextech Drake benefits them a lot more than it does the side of Backdoor Bandits, as MF normally doesn't rely on the attack speed. Oh, but we have a gank coming in here by Hairwick, and a big hook coming in on the Sansa, and that Nami is Dunzo. A really solid gank by Hairwick. He's definitely targeting these lanes without flashes, and he's doing quite well. Sion's not having a great time here, though keeping even in CS. But we see one of the epic monster feats going over to Backdoor as they take the first 3 Void Grubs, with Skarner being bot lane. Small Brains here at about the 7.5 minute. They're only up about 300 gold here. Getting the Void Grubs away from Tristana is actually really, really big. So we'll see what ends up affecting the map first, this dragon stacking or these Void Grubs. getting first turret and getting defeats that way. We see here the Scion ult going back top lane. We see a tunneler coming out. Is this a potential hull breaker? First item by Vic. I feel like that's an interesting choice, knowing that you're already behind in the 1v1. See Zenma getting just a little bit of a CS lead here. It flashes back up for Empress here. Titanic? Yeah, that's a possibility as well, yeah. Oh, but big catch here by Zenma as he just barely catches the side of Empress on his way after he burned Flash. And Herwick ends up coming in and cleaning it up as well. But we see Aruseps bullying out the Scion quite heavily. Now gets a second solo kill here. You see TP coming in mid lane here. But Empress has no flash, and Fiddsticks is roaming mid. Fid does have flash, but they decided to call it off here. Really, really gutsy TP coming out of Empress. That is one thing I've noticed, and I'll even say that when I try to TP the fights, it's been quite interesting, is the TP changes feel so different that it's hard to get used to them without just playing. But we see SCYX coming top lane, punishing the Scion more and more. But the Scion passive is just beating the hell out of his Mordekaiser. Forces him to burn shield at least. Fiddstick's still on the top side of this map here, so but ends up setting up the gank here for Zenma onto Empress here. Nice overall hook and patience on there, and Fiddsticks ends up getting this one back on the Empress. Sansa was there to try and help out, but it was to no avail. Fiddsticks making an impact on this game now. You see the Heartsteel coming out by Herwick with those 2 early kills. A little bit behind on the CS, but nice use by Zenma to use the clone to kind of block what would have been a flash stun out of Viego. But we see now the second dragon getting taken over here by Small Brains. So let's see if they want to reset. If they get the second set of grubs here, that gives them the feats of strength. Which it looks like Scion's already coming up to try and start those. So you're going to see the 80 carries be bot lane 1v1ing more and more. And I believe you don't get the tick on the feats of strength for epic monsters if you don't get all 3. So we see a whale coming out here, but pretty tanky for the side of Skarner. We see a grub just sitting there. See if they end up taking it out. Oh, and the grub ends up resetting, but Aruseps ends up getting taken out here. So his shutdown goes over to Skarner. So Skarner's just going to get bigger and bigger here. And that ends up being all 3 grubs going over to the side of Small Brains. But Empress ends up getting jumped on here again by Zenma. And Fiddsticks was still in the area, so that's another one going over to Zenma here. Zenma playing his Nico quite well. And that ends up being 6 kills to 3, and now a roughly 1,000 gold lead opening up here for the side of Small Brains. And they get the feats of strength, which I think is pretty massive overall. What happened to that Scion ult? I kind of want to go see what happened to the Scion ult, but you see the bot lane of Small Brains getting picked on here a little bit by Backdoor. GeoProw, we're almost close to this 5 deaths here by Hui at the 15-minute mark. Like, we got one more, what, minute and a half here? So, interesting. Fid just being an absolute annoyance. Mono just kind of sitting there brush cheesing a little bit. But Zenma was on his way down as well in case I broke out into a big fight. We see that Riley's coming out here first for the side of Mordekaiser, so if he ever ults, Zenma's never going to get away. Oh, not Zenma, sorry, Vic. And we see Casper. The walls end up showing up here. Oh, but Zenma ends up flashing forward here. It ends up getting Empress here, but SCYX does a good job cleaning up Zenma, but Fid and Hairwick are still here to take him down as well. So, all in all, that ends up being a shutdown going over to Fid 6's Blitzcrank. And Viego gets the shutdown onto Nico here. So, these two teams trading quite heavily here. Arocep's getting jumped on here. Oh, very well played overall by both sides. I like Fid 6's idea of flashing to get a better Q. But Arocep's seeing that flashing away as well. I don't think Aroceps is going to get away from here. There's a bunch of slows, but Vic ends up getting one back here. And we're going to start to see these blood flowers come into play as well. Fidstick's doing some 007 work right here. Might be a little too deep. Nope, never mind. And that is the prophecy, GeoProud. I stated it, but wasn't really paying too much attention to it. That is 5 deaths here by this way. And I'll be perfectly honest, at this point, I think Hui just goes Leandries into Bloodletter. Actually, no, not Bloodletter. You can go Leandries into Deathfire. I just think you need to absolutely be able to do some type of damage in these team fights. Sitting on last chapter is not too bad. Oh, but here's ends up being a 6th death as they're just picking on Empress here. Backdoor Bandits are being put here on the back foot. Now they're down 1,300 gold with Small Brains taking this 3rd dragon here. So, well played by Small Brains so far here. Let's see if they can end up finishing this game. Fid gets another really big hook onto Nami here. Mono ends up jumping behind them, but SCYX is here. And Fid ends up going down, but Nami ends up trying to take out what's left of Mono's health bar. And it looks like, for the most part, they're diving onto here. But we see a flash ult coming out by Hairwick. And this Skarner putting out so much damage with Heartsteel. Was that a flash ult to potentially stop? Kind of want to jump back here. Let's see. Hairwick ends up expecting to dive. Does a really good job picking up the Q first. But it saves Mono for the most part from SCYX, which actually nets him another kill there. So really well played by Hairwick. He's having an absolute insane game on this Skarner so far. 6-0-4. Absolute tank right now. 3,000 health here at 17 minutes. We've seen Ariceps, actually we did not see it, but he ends up picking up another kill onto Vic here. Fid doing his best to try and defend his red wards here. Nice flash coming out by Senza. The Emperor's just bot lane with no TP here, so there's a potential chance that they pick a team fight here. Vic just kind of proxying the wave here, doing what Scions do. And he's just going to take a ride through their base. And while they're doing this, Small Brains is using this opportunity to get the Rift Herald. Vic has a chance of coming behind Empress here if Zenma keeps going upriver. And Vic is just casually taking the wolves here. Okay. Scion Gaming here. Otacon, or as I like to call him, Casper, is coming up here in about a minute. Hairwick hard carry. Yeah, it's he's definitely carrying a lot in this early to mid game here. Let's see if his team can use this to propel them into the mid and the late game here. I mean, for the most part, it's up to him and Zenma. If Zenma gets a really good ult, then I think this fight's over with. But there is some range coming out of the side of Backdoor Bandits with Hui, and MF ult can kind of zone out just a little, but we'll see. Both teams look like they're posturing to grab Otacon here, and it is Voracious Otacon, which I believe gives you the GAs, if I'm not mistaken. But SCYX ends up face-checking here into Hairwick. But Hairwick ends up ulting SCYX, but then Mordekaiser ults Skarner to try to get rid of him. Zenma ends up getting a really big ult onto Misfortune here. And Mono's starting to clean up the rest of the fight as Emperor goes down. And then Ariceps goes down as well. It ends up being a triple kill going over to Mono. But Otacon ends up taking down Mono and gives the shutdown over to Emperorish. These two don't have the damage to do this. I've seen this and that. This happened in one of my games actually, where like Otacon is just really like deceivingly tanky here. But Zenma ends up coming up and takes out, helps them take out Otacon here. So we do have the temporary GAs coming out for the side of Small Brains. Which actually, if I understand how the interaction should go, I've not seen it. If Mordekaiser ults and kills somebody, they will respawn and try to go back to their base, but be stuck in the Death Realm, so they won't go all the way to the base. And actually, it works against Mordekaiser as well. If he has the revival from Otacon, he does not go back to base in the middle of his ults. That interaction I did see. That happened in one of my games. So, but we see the two tanks taking Heartsteel, and both of them doing Unending Despair second. I've literally never been in. Yeah, this Otacon buff I think is kind of crazy, depending on what type of team comp you have, because the fact that you can basically uh, you can posture to get a turret and even dive it just to die. You don't give over a shutdown, but when you do end up getting taken out, well, we got Empress getting taken over here, and that is the 8th death on Empress. So shades of his Vi game here when it comes to the score line, but this is definitely not at all the same. They have been hard focusing Empress quite heavily here. But no, this buff allows you to basically die, and you don't give any shutdowns. Oh, big engage by Zenma, but nice in the bot lane of Backdoors end up flashing away from it. Fiddsticks ends up getting taken to the death realm by Mordekaiser. And all in all, even though they have revives from Otacon, which are going to expire here real soon, yeah, they will end up falling off. So if you do end up passing with this Otacon buff, you give over one stack of the Bloody Flowers and 100 gold to whoever killed you. And that's it. You just teleport back to base. SCYX finds Vic here. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I felt like with that Otacon buff, they could have definitely used that to get the next Nexus turret here. But also, like, Nexus turret respawns, so I don't know how that ends up happening. Does this one respawn? Okay, so this one will respawn even if it's not the last one. Interesting. Learning more about this patch every day. Oh, but nice take by Herwick here with the flash Skarner ult here. I forget the name of the ult, sorry. Impale, that's what it was. But we see Zenma end up going in here, and he Zonya's the Hui ult. This Skarner is so insanely tanky here. And now they end up taking Mordekaiser here, and Mono ends up saying, "Screw his front line. He's just going to jump in front of him." This looks like after Small Brains took this Ocean Soul here very, very early, they ended up turning on the gas pedal here, taking down Backdoor Bandits in a 25-minute banger. And Herwick with the scoreline of the game here, 8-0 and 7. Also being supported by Zenma 5-1 and 10. So really solid by the Small Brains team here. We will go over to the client to see. I do like looking at the graphs every now and then. So yeah, Zenma doing the most damage here. Mordekaiser, no shocker, doing a lot of damage with all the trading he did up top. And actually, Empress still doing a really solid amount of damage here. So, all in all, really, really well played by the Small Brains team. We'll see what Backdoor Bandits have in response here. Well, we have just a touch of downtime here. we're just gonna go over. Um, it's like saying Zyra did the highest. Damn, that's fair. I'm gonna go over again for those that kind of joined middle of this game. This is a Group B game that basically decides. Oh, it's not basically. It does decide the winner of the group and the number one seed, as both teams are 3-1 here, and this is the last series. No, this is not the last series. Peanut Butter and Jelly and Loaded Cannons play tomorrow, but Sad Jellyfish already have their series from Ice Wall due to Ice Wall forfeiting, and this series will end up confirming who the number one seed for Group B is, and note that the number one seeds for each group get a first round bye in the playoffs. Just to note that starting here in probably the next 5 to 10 minutes, we have Team Ghost and Instinct CK from Group C is going to be played on the LOL Midwest Twitch channel. Caster Pugsley is feeling a little bit better and will be casting that game by himself. We do have 3 series going on right now. So this will decide Group B, this will decide Group C, and War Initiate, the mid laner and captain for Insane Bananas, is actually casting on his own channel Scorch vs TK Gamers, which is a really big series because Scorch can lock up the number 2 seed for Group A if they knock off TK Gamers. But if TK Gamers beats Scorch, then we have a 3-way tie between Scorch, Insane Banana, and Freebrax for the final 2 playoff spots. Note 4 teams from each group make the playoffs. And you have 4 teams with first round byes. It is the top 3, the number 1 seeds from each group are first round byes, and the best record, number 2 seed, will have the last first round bye, which if there's any ties, I believe there are tiebreaker games. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure what all the tiebreakers are on that. So, yeah, that's where we're at here. A bunch of really big series getting played here. So, yeah, 3 series all in all going on today, and a lot of action. So, if you've got 2 monitors, feel free to throw us up. If you got 3 monitors, well, weird flex, but you can throw all 3 up. So, but looks like we already have one change in the draft, and Backdoor Bandits electing to go blue side here. So let's see what ends up happening. I think after this first game, the bans are definitely going to change up a little bit. I foresee Backdoor probably getting rid of the Skarner. I think Herwick had an absolute monster game, especially in the early game, getting his team ahead and ganking specifically all the lanes that had no flashes. So really, really solid pathing and ganks by him. So we see kind of the first ban staying the same. Small Brains ends up getting rid of the Rek'Sai. Backdoor gets rid of Maokai here. We see Backdoor will get rid of the Blitzcrank. So the Fid Sticks ends up drawing a Blitzcrank ban, which I think rightfully so. That was easily the most effective Blitzcrank we've seen this split so far. His Small Brains ends up kind of seeing the tech a little bit, getting rid of the Garen, which is a Emperorish mid lane special here. So I think that's a really, really solid scouting from Small Brains, saying that nope, you may not want to play this way again or do a mage v mage matchup in the mid, but we're gonna kind of tailor you and point you into that direction by getting rid of the Garen. And then we see the Skarner band coming out from Backdoor Bandits. So overall, it's two junglers coming, drawing bans here. So let's see what Backdoor ends up taking here. Note the Victor is left up. Does Backdoor play the Victor? Oh, the Corki. Okay. Corki's probably one of the few AD answers into Victor if Corki ends up going mid. And we've seen it a touch more bot, but overall the split, we haven't really seen it too much at all. But I foresee a world where Corki can pressure the Victor mid a little bit. The Victor still has very decent wave clears, so I don't expect it. I think it's more of a check than to say per se like a counter. But and we see Mono bringing out the Tristana again. Potentially again a flex pick could go to Zema. But let's see what Small Brains ends up taking here in this second pick. Is it jungle or support would be my guess, but we'll see. Wait, well, could be either. Fid plays it support, and Harewood plays that in the jungle. So Amumu, a really solid flex pick here. Really good team fighter. Really good go button overall. And we see the Vi coming out here by Backdoor Bandits. So Vi definitely a really solid pick for SCYX, but we have seen Emperorish play it mid as well. It wasn't as successful, but we've seen the potential coming out of it. Or if you're Geo proud, you just played support. You know, maybe they seen the series yesterday and wanted to tech into it. But we see the Ornn coming out here from Backdoor Bandits. So big beefy tank in the top lane. Let's see if Small Brains wants to match tank for tank here. Vic Scion, while definitely gave over some kills, was still relevant in the game overall. Oh, we see the Cassante coming out here, so we see the tank v tank matchup, but Cassante can still ult people and turn into a really high damage juggernaut here. Small Brains ends up getting rid of the Hui, so really pinching Emperorish's champion pool here. We see the Victor band coming out here. No shocker. I'm surprised neither team really wanted to first pick Victor. And a Karma band coming out. Interesting. Let's see what this final ban for Backdoor is going to be. Nico. So, don't want to see Zenma's Nico again after that game. I mean, he had some really powerful ults to start off a lot of fights there. So we see the Morgana coming out here. So interesting. We have seen a Morgana jungle, and it was played a little bit last split. So still technically another flex pick per se. And I think it'd especially be useful if the Tristana goes mid and you pick like another AD carry in the bot lane, as Morgana and most of the AP junglers really enjoy being the only source of magic damage on their team. And I really like the Morgana into Vi. Just black shield the Vi ult and they just walk away. We see the Talia come out mid. Talia, interesting blind pick overall. And there's not an egregious amount of dashes coming out. But we see Zenma's Azir coming out, so I really, I think there's a lot of people that would argue that Talia is kind of a check slash counter to Azir. Like you just put the walls, uh, put the rocks in Azir's direction, and he can't really do the shuffle. So interesting, interesting R5 there. I mean, Zenma's Azir though is is really solid. I've witnessed it in person. He plays it really good. But yeah, hard matchup if Talia is good. Yeah, that's kind of how I seen it. I don't play too much Talia, but I know she is a really good answer into Azir. But also, like, you have Morgana Black Shield, so maybe Black Shield the Azir when he goes for a shuffle. Maybe. I don't know if the shield's beefy enough to get through Talia rocks. So I'll be curious to see also where this Morgana's going to go. If it's going to go jungle with a Mumu support, or if a Mumu's jungle Morgana support. Yep. We got some of the members taking a quick bathroom break here, so we will get over to this game here soon.
first of many foes.
What's wrong? Can't take the heat?
Art can shed light on our fears.
We must all make our choices.
They cannot handle Nico.
And to note, this is a jungle Amumu support Morgana, which might be the first Morgana support. I want to say the only other time Morgana was played, excuse me, was in jungle, because I was on the receiving end of a lot of those queues. Let's check the stats here. Yeah, the Morgana's been played one time this split in a win, and it was a jungle Morgana. So, first Morgana support be quite interesting. I do like the response with Tom Kinch being able to get people out of the Morgana's 10-year long queue. So, well, for those still with me here in the chat, which comp do you think has the edge here? I like what Small Brains put together, and I think if played skillfully, they have a lot of tools to stop Backdoor Bandits from doing what they want to do. But if not, Backdoor with the Vi Talia Orin combo can be pretty nasty overall. So really curious to kind of hear your guys' thoughts on this one. And we are in game. We do have a bunch of pings coming out of the Small Brains comp.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
We definitely see a little bit of an invade coming here from Small Brains. These support picks are so boring. It's not that they're boring, it's just you play a different breed of support there, Geo. Who's winning? So, Small Brain, No Mechanics on the red side took game 1 from Backdoor Bandits. Oh, nice Q coming out here from Fid, but Tom Kench does a really good job of moving up so that they couldn't do anything. Fid still is down. Oh, his Q came back up here. Q comes out here onto Corky, and a Ignite gets traded from both sides here. But we see the Small Brains bot lane ends up getting killed here in the 2v2, which I think is really big overall for the feats of strength, the first blood coming out here for Backdoor Bandits. Nice trade overall by Victor. Two tanks are just trading grass procs. Oh, potentially Vic low on mana and health up top. Does a good job still getting this wave pushed in. And I didn't take the look at the stats. This might be our first Azir of the split. I know Zenma has drawn some Azir bans throughout the split, but this might be the first one getting played here. Fit doing a really good job pressuring the mid lane here, continuing what he was doing game 1. Only this time on Morgana instead of Blitzcrank. Here's 3-0 on the split so far. Fair enough. Oh, is that you, Tenzin? Void grubs have spawned. Let's see who wants to make a shot at them so far. We do see Dragon getting taken here by SCYX. And this Dragon, I think, has a tremendous amounts of value. Oh, well, we see Vic ends up taking the solo kill against Ariceps. Sorry, we were panning at the Dragon here. Let's run that one back. Oh, but we see Vic ends up getting the Q3 and kidnapping the Orin here, and ends up getting the return kill. So as much as Ariceps was playing this Mordekaiser last game, punishing Vic, he ends up getting one back here. Well played by Vic overall. Can't give that guy Cassante. Yeah, Vic is... I think, in my opinion, he's like top 3 top laners in the league. Like, Vic can just take over a game with picks like Asante. So, we'll let the directed camera take the work now. We do see that SCYX takes this Mountain Drake, which I think this Mountain Drake's actually really... It's big for both comps, but I think Orin just takes such insane advantage. But we might see an all-in coming out of the Small Brains bot lane. But they ended up trading Ignite. We see an exhaust coming out here by Corki. And Tom Kench ends up smacking this Tristana. So that's 2 kills now going over to the bot lane of Backdoor Bandits here. Now let's see if this Backdoor Bandits team can lean on their bot lane here a little bit. This has been a pretty quiet early game so far for the junglers, actually. I expected both of these junglers to just be very, very gank heavy and fighting. It's just been their style throughout the whole split. We see Hairwick looks like he's trying to start up the grubs, and SCYX didn't see this. So now she's looking for a gank up top here. And it looks like Hairwick is dropping everything on the grubs here to go after this. And he ended up not completing a single grub here. Nice flash coming out of Zenma here to respond to Emperor's flash. But he ends up flash ghosting away. See Hairwick using the ult here to try and get away. And SCYX ends up taking out Hairwick. So a little bit of miscommunication here, I feel like, from the Backdoor Bandits, or sorry, from the Small Brains team so far right here. You see the bot lane roaming up. But they're giving Corki now some free plates here. So first blood defeat is over. Oh my. Yeah, you can't just back right there. The first blood feat is already over to the side of Backdoor Bandits. And we've seen them at least take one grub here. So SCYX ends up getting some enhanced experience off that. And Small Brains will end up taking the other 2 grubs. So neither one gets a tick on the feet of... I can't remember the name of it. But no epic monster feat getting taken from either one outside of this dragon here. We see an Aegis of the Legion coming out here by Cassante, so maybe he's still doing the Unending Despair Rush. Which is quite interesting. The item was supposedly nerfed, but still looks really, really strong on paper. And Vic ends up taking Ariceps over the wall here. And it looks like he's going to end up taking... Oh, nice little sidestep here by Ornn. Ornn's going down the river here to escape. But we see Empress overall throwing the wall out. But we see the Ornn ult coming out. And SCYX ends up getting the Q stopped at first by Empress. Still looks like she's wanting to fight this. And ends up getting on the killing spree, taking out Vix, Cassante. This game's pretty scrappy from both sides here, but favors Backdoor Bandits, especially leaning on their bot lane a little bit here. SCYX still ends up taking 3 kills from all this action topside. Nice flash by Fid. Nice ult by Zenma overall. You see Tahm Kench value coming out here, saving SCYX. And overall saving the shutdown as well. Wise man once told me you gotta protect your gold, especially when you have a shutdown here. And it looks like Hairwick is trying to steal, but doesn't get close enough here. And ends up giving over a kill here. So, looking at this so far, at about the 12.5 minute mark, 6 kills to 2 in favor of Backdoor Bandits, and they're up about 2,000 gold overall. And they've got the feats of strength for the first blood, and now feats of strength 2 out of 3 ticked off for epic monsters here. So, let's see what ends up happening. I think every team, with the exception of one that I can think of this week, has won with the feats of strength completed. The only loss that I know of was Freebrax versus Coin Flip in Game 2. I'm kind of with you, GeoProw. In the games that I've played, the few games I've played this patch, people not clicking the flowers are kind of tilting. So, we have a chance of Small Brains ticking back on this feats of strength just a touch if they pick up all 3 of these grubs, but if they end up losing this fight and give 3 grubs over, that'll be a completed feats of strength coming out for the side of Backdoor Bandits. Boatload of damage from Tahm Kench here. Well, Tahm Kench making the first move here, jumping on the Hairwick. Hairwick takes a lot of damage from Talia here. Ornn ult ends up knocking him up, and Hairwick ends up getting taken out by the side of Backdoor Bandits. So it looks like Backdoor Bandits is going to do their best to get the completed feats of strength here with these 3 grubs. I mean, if Small Brains can find a way of stealing one of these grubs, then that delays it a little bit. Oh, but nice job by Zenma. Ends up knocking over Sanson. And they do look like they're going to delay this 3rd grub here. Well, SCYX has Smite coming back up. Fidsticks is running low here and gets taken out by Empress. Big knockup coming out of Ornn, and just an overall bounce house between Ornn, Talia, and Vi. And this 3rd grub has still not been taken out yet. SCYX doing all she can. Ends up eating this minion to get there. And Herwick ends up spawning and getting the rest of the Void Grubs here. So these feats of strength still on the table for both teams. And now I think first turret may come into play here, which Mono's going to have to protect his turret. If gives up first turret to Corky here, then that's feats of strength going over there as well. And that is feats of strength. And Mono may end up falling here. Nice barrier. Flash away from both AD carries here. Hello, Victor. Nice of you to join us. This is game 2 of Small Brains versus Backdoor Bandits. Small Brains on the red side took game 1 in a pretty decisive fashion. So they are up 1-0. Winner of this series is the #1 seed for Group B. And we just, if you just now tuned in, the feats of strength are end up going over to the side of Backdoor Bandits, courtesy of First Blood and First Turret. Yeah, I believe the stat that I seen on X, I'm still calling it Twitter, I don't care, was feats of strength has a 69% win rate for blue and 70 on red. Not that, you know, we're splitting hairs, but feats of strength, very good. SCYX doing what she can to get on the Zenma. They ended up turning off this dragon here, and the fight ends up going kind of both ways here. Empress getting a really solid double kill, but the jungler for Backdoor Bandits ends up falling, so that kind of delays his third Drake just a little bit. But we see the side of Small Brains ends up sneaking the rest of this dragon here.
Blue team double kill.
But in the impending fight, after this dragon gets taken, it ends up being a double kill over to this Corky. Corky had 5 assists now. These 2 kills, I think, will accelerate Corky even more. Yeah, this Tom Kench is very, very tanky, very hard to kill right now. I will say that the scaling, I think, even with the feats of strength, probably favors Small Brains just slightly here. And Soup, you do see that. That is Julia on this Corky here. And they ended up getting multiple 2v2 kills in the bot lane with this Corky. Uh, 74% win rate for feats, but it is statistically the same as First Blood, First Turret. Okay. But First Blood and First Turret also give you like a substantial amount of gold towards somebody individual, not the whole team like feats does. Oh, but we see the bot lane making a move onto this Corky here. But overall, really, really solid exhaust that ends up saving her life. And even Fid flashed forward just to try to get the last bit of damage onto her. And we see Voracious Otacon spawning up here in the top lane. And if my memory is correct, this is the GA variant of Otacon again, as we had the GA variant last game. But we see Vic trying to front line here and stall for his team to get here. And here comes Mono, and Mono and Zenma end up taking out SCYX. This might be the turn that Smallbrains was looking for here. Kind of similar to his third dragon, they end up taking this Otacon here. And yeah, that gives them GAs, which actually, like, I know they didn't do it last game, but they could easily dive this turret. You've got shutdown on Corky, shutdown on Tom Kinch here. I think you 5-man dive this. Like, you don't give anything away because you don't die. So now this is probably the first time I've seen like feats of strength going against the Otacon buff here. But just dive, yeah, there we go. Dive this turret. You have respawns here. And there's plenty of cooldowns here. Mono and Zenma end up getting a shutdown onto Ornn here. And that's how you use this revive buff. Like, you're only given over 500 gold, but you ended up getting a shutdown, a turret for that, and the rest of the buffs from Otacon here. So, very, very well played from Smallbrains here. Because they also get the extra gold on champion takedowns, which actually I was unaware of that. Yeah. So, I'd say about close to being net even when it comes to gold here, but worth the attempt. If they get another one of those shutdowns, and that's going to be really, that was really, really going to be worth it. See SCYX drifting this Herald into the tier 1 mid. We see second item coming out by Vic here. Nice dodge by SCYX. This, Mono's on 2 items now as well here. So, the carries are starting to come online for Smallbrains here. Zenma's on 2 items now as well. You have limited MR coming out of the side of Ornn here. But we see them fighting over posture for this Fire Drake. But we see a dive coming in by Herwig. SCYX doing what she can to dive Mono here on the back line. Ends up getting taken out. Vic ends up taking Ornn over the wall here. Seeing if he can 1v1. It looks like he's going to end up taking it out. But Arceps flashes it back into the pit. And Vic ends up following him here. Oh man, there's so much action. We got one for 3 so far here, with Corky on the other side. And Empress here as well. Mono doing what he can to try and push his mid-wave in. I don't think you want this fight, Corky. I mean, you might take out Vic. Nope, never mind. And shutdown goes over to Zenma. That is the last person you want to give the shutdown to. Mono ends up getting the shutdown off of Talia. No, she didn't have shutdown, sorry. Very well played by Smallbrains here, as they've now taken the gold lead actually here. Tied up Dragons, taken the gold lead by less than 1,000. 5% diffing. And I think the biggest thing about that fight for Smallbrains is all of the gold went over to the people you wanted it to go off of. Noted that both carriers are at 2 items, and they end up picking multiple kills, and I think even a shutdown off of that fight. So this is going to end up being a really, really just scrappy, skirmishy type of game. See the feats of strength boots coming out for SCYX. I think the really rough thing about these the feats of strength boots is they're having to build the tankier boots, which I think are the, if I could phrase it like this, the less broken boots. So we can check like 25 MR, 45, 30. You have 35, 50, and 30. So overall, you know, just a plus 10 MR difference. You do get a little bit of a shield here, but the more nerfed boots, yeah, that's probably the fairest way to say it there, Victor. They definitely, definitely the lesser of the evils for when it comes to facing against the boots here. So, all in all, I like what I'm seeing out of this Small Brains comp. They realize that they do have the scaling advantage, and I think the gold has been divided onto their carries a lot better. So using this dragon, using this time to just clear waves, pick up a little more gold, maybe ward up for a pick potentially. I did not account for this with Orin item plus feats of strength boots. Gonna be a lot of power in these items here. You know, we see the Trinity Force getting upgraded here. I think you have a chance of upgrading the Trinity Force on the Corki. And wait for Talia to get Death Cap, because that's easily the best one when it comes to the mage side of things. Though if you do have to upgrade one, Leandry's isn't bad either. I think at this point in the game you're not wanting any more pen. Oh, but big pick coming out. Tom Kench ends up going down here, and they burned quite a bit for that overall. Fid ends up missing the Q there. Well, they got him off of the Baron here. Let's see if the impending fight goes into Backdoor. I mean, they're kiting very well here. Flash coming out by Fid6 just to try and get on top of Gorky here. You have the turret coming out by Zenma here, which I think is interesting. But you see SCYX trying to dive through and get to mono. Empress does a good job taking out Fid, but Zenma on this ascending fight just plants his flag on the ground of you shall not pass here. Interesting that he has the Lord of the Rings turret and skin going on here. So 2 for 2 overall after Tom Kench going down started that kind of dance here. Oh, but Tom Kench ends up face checking this Cassante here. Let's see what ends up happening here. We see SCYX doing what she can. Big ult coming out of Hairwick there. They end up taking out the Vi here. En route to Smallbrains taking this third Drake here. What has been an impressive movement and decision making by their team overall. "75 seconds, Victor." And honestly, it looks even shorter than that. Really solid pick coming off of this Baron take by the Backdoor Bandits. Empress doing really well to trap them in that wall and gets a shutdown here on Zenma. Empress having a really solid bounce back game after they camped the absolute shit out of them in game 1. Smallbrains getting control of this bottom half of the map here. Vic just being the absolute menace that he is. This Cassante. Hairwick ends up diving Empress here en route to getting this bot tier 1 turret here. And what's a really big pick overall. Vic tries to end up sneaking in there to stop SCYX's back. She ends up getting it off here. As the Smallbrains take that one pick and end up sieging 3 turrets plus an inhib in the bot lane here. Yeah, wet noodle fight up top. Smallbrains ends up taking the second inhib. And now they actually might look to dive Aruceps here. This is a pretty tanky Ornn, but I mean, this is a overall late game team comp that's online. And Fit ends up getting a massive Q on here, which Tom Kench ends up getting SCYX out of it, but she ends up turning and taking down Fit Sticks here. And now it's on those carries here to try and combat this push. Oh, and big Shurima shuffle coming out of Zenma here. And this is going to end up being the game for Smallbrain No Mechanics. So Smallbrain's fighting the odds of winning against the feats of strength and taking the Otacon here. And now 2-0ing Backdoor Bandits to be the #1 seed of Group B here. That was a very impressive early game by Backdoor Bandits, and an equally as impressive team movement and team fighting here for the side of Smallbrain No Mechanics. So, probably one of the best games of the split to actually sit back and watch. 79 greater than 74. That is true, Victor. That is true. So, I do appreciate those guys joining me here. and watching this series. There is two other series going on right now over on War Initiate's channel. If you check the server, he linked it. Is Scorch versus TK Gamers, which I believe is going into game 3. Is kind of what I'm seeing here. But on the Midwest Twitch channel, it is Instinct CK versus Team Ghost being casted by Pugsley here. So three really, really big series to decide a lot of these groups here. But congrats to Small Brains for getting the #1 seed here in Group B. And I'm not gonna lie, like all of these Group B teams look super, super talented, and I can't wait to see playoffs. Because there's gonna be a lot of questions, a lot of matchups that happen that yeah, we can only fight it out on the Rift. So I appreciate everybody joining me tonight. Victor, Geo, Prowl, Tenzin, yeah, everybody else who was in chat here. Rurika popped in a little bit. Appreciate you guys coming out and joining me. And if you've got some time, go check out those other series being streamed here. And it's gonna be a fun podcast coming up on week 5 overall. But thanks again, everybody. Hope y'all have a great night. Deuces.